The Russian assault group comprised over 120 soldiers and 22 armored vehicles, including tanks. Ukrainian forces foiled a massive Russian armored assault in the Donetsk region, inflicting heavy casualties and loss of equipment. The ferocious battle took place near Vyymka in the Bakhmut district on the Siversk sector of the front and involved Ukraine's 10th Mountain Assault Brigade. The Russian assault group comprised over 120 soldiers and 22 armored vehicles, including tanks. They were spotted by aerial reconnaissance and came under sustained and heavy artillery fire and drone attacks. Video images of the battle show Russian armored vehicles being targeted and destroyed by kamikaze drones. As Putin's troops abandon their vehicles, a second wave of UAVs drops grenades on the feeling infantrymen. The 10th Brigade said it destroyed 6 tanks and 9 infantry fighting vehicles, as well as killing 19 Russians and injuring another 23. Putin's army continues to sustain heavy casualties as it seeks to make a decisive breakthrough before the onset of winter. In the latest Frontline update, Kyiv says the Russians lost another 1,300 soldiers over the past 24 hours. Ukraine's military claims that Russia has suffered a total of just over 700,000 casualties, including dead and injured, since the beginning of the full-scale invasion in February 2022. Despite the losses, Putin's army continues to advance in Ukraine's Donbas region as it closes in on the strategically important city of Pokrovsk. According to Bloomberg, Russia has advanced by 200 square kilometers, 77 square miles, over the past week. Colonel Ants Kiviselg, head of the Estonian Defense Forces Intelligence Center, said the battlefield initiative was still very much with the Russians. Unfortunately, there is again nothing positive to report from the Ukrainian front line this week, he told a press conference last Friday. The Russian Federation's forces are still holding the initiative along the entire front, which has forced the Ukrainian forces to gradually retreat. The Russian Federation's armed forces have been most successful in capturing territory in Donetsk Oblast, in particular in the Pokrovsk, Kurakov, Vuhledar, and Velika Novosilka regions. Ukrainian troops are holding back one of Russia's most powerful offensives since the start of Moscow's full-scale war, Commander-in-Chief Oleksandr Syrsky said on November. Throughout 2024, Ukraine has faced a challenging situation in its defense of the front line, particularly in Donetsk Oblast, where Russia has consistently concentrated its offensive potential. After a meeting with a delegation of the Czech armed forces, Syrsky described the situation on the battlefield as difficult. Active hostilities that continue in certain areas require constant renewal of the resources of Ukrainian units, he said. Since the beginning of the day, 126 clashes between Ukrainian and Russian forces have taken place along the front line, Ukraine's General Staff said in its latest update on November 2. Russia continues to press forward on its offensives across the Eastern Front, primarily on the Toretsk, Kurakove, and Pokrovsk axes in Donetsk Oblast, where outnumbered and outgunned Ukrainian soldiers are forced to withdraw little by little. In recent weeks, the Ukrainian military warned that Russia is escalating its operations in southern Zaporizhzhia Oblast. In Kharkiv Oblast, Ukrainian forces liberated and cleared out in mid-October the village of Krylyakivka, which Ukraine's military intelligence, HUR, described as important for the defense of Kupiansk. In the meantime, Russian troops are reportedly attempting to establish crossings near the Oskol River to advance toward the city of Kupiansk. The reports came as Russia is planning to involve North Korean troops to aid its war effort, with more than 7,000 soldiers deployed near the Ukrainian border. In a recent interview, President Volodymyr Zelensky blasted Ukraine's partners' zero response to deployment of North Korean troops for the war in Ukraine. He said that if Kyiv had permission to use Western long-range weapons on Russian territory, it could preemptively target every camp where North Korean troops are gathering. Russian casualties in Vladimir Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine have surpassed 700,000, according to Kiev, which trolled Moscow over the round number of such a grim milestone. In its daily update, Ukraine's military said on Monday that over the previous day, Russian forces had suffered 1,300 personnel losses, taking the total number since the start of the full-scale invasion to 700,390. Perfect numbers like perfect men are very rare. René Descartes, Ukraine's defense ministry, posted on X, referring to the French philosopher. Russia has not updated its figures since September 2022, when it said that just under 6,000 had been killed, while Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said in February that 31,000 Ukrainian troops had died, although this was lower than Western estimates. U.S. officials told the New York Times that September was the bloodiest month of the war since its start in February 2022, and that more than 600,000 were dead and wounded, with the spike caused by assaults in the east of Ukraine where Putin's forces have made slow gains, but at a great cost in personnel.